it's wonderful to have activities that can be done in proximity, if not the same
Well,
activity.
golf
And I
courses,
very much hope to be out with Harold and anyone who'd like to play golf very, very soon because I'm enjoying it very much. I'm having a lot of fun.
and
I go
usually
out a
golf
number of times
courses
a
are in
week.
pretty areas, so your wife can run.
Very true. Ultra marathoners should be able to run in pretty areas. We're going to share our book as we think now about transitioning to our. See, we always have try and show you all this, but then we have. Okay, that can be put there, and this can be reduced. Maybe that'll do. Okay, excellent. And we will. Is this the right section, or do you want to? Can you tell me which?
I think we're at the beginning of the new chapter 7.
Okay. Oh, yes, you're right. We finished chapter 6. All right. Yes.
We just
Question.
finished the book in our book club called Notes on Being a Man.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah, terrible book, but,
Well,
but an
that's frank.
interesting title. And then I picked this up, and it says God in Search of Man. You know, so how does God define man?
Well, in this case, man is a encompassing humanity. This is God in search of humanity. God trying to make connection. The idea is not just that we reach out for God, but that God is actually in many ways making the connection between God and us possible. And if God is trying to make that connection possible, making it easier, God must, for reasons we can't know because we're not God, desire that connection because it's within God's power to make it impossible. If God's making it easier, God must want us to engage with that. So then we get to talk, once we realize that, we talk about how that happens and also why that might be. Although, of course, we can't know exactly the mind of God.
So he's not in search of
Masculinity. He's not in search of masculinity,
a
no.
person with any specific characteristics.
Yeah, he's not in search. No, correct. He's not in search of.
Species, not a person.
Right.
Mankind.
He's not looking for an avatar or a paragon, someone like a representative or archetype. That's probably more what you're talking. Like he's not looking for an archetype that can connect to it. It's anyone can do this. It's not one person. Although mindset wise, yes, here what you'll find here is if you're not open to these things, mystery, awe, wonder, these things that we're reading about that these chapters are titled, if you're not open to those things, then you have shut yourself off from the experience. That's not because you're bad or whatever. Like you could be a good person and shut yourself off from this, right? You could theoretically do all the mitzvot and just be like kind of robotic about everything and not encounter the world in this way, perhaps. And still certainly the Hasidism comes out of the idea in a little bit of that's a loving, active, participatory, engaged way to live Jewishly, as opposed to other forms of that very, very religious aspect of living that are otherwise devoid of those joyful elements and therefore perhaps uh, more stale, one might say.
I I want to feel between the lines, and I
Okay.
do too. Not that God needs us, but that He's saying, I love you. Please don't reject me and leave me alone. Please relate to me.
Yes, I mean, I think that's a legitimate. We'll look into. I mean, it could be that. I do believe that God loves us as abundant ahava, right? As abundant love for us as God's creations. We are the children of God, and therefore God loves us, or we believe God does. And so I think that's a plausible. But we can think that. That's our thought. Okay, any other framing thoughts that we want to share before we start with a new chapter? All right, so we're going to be here in awe as the great abyss, right? Before the great abyss. The awe and humility sensed in the face of the mystery and grandeur of nature and history affected the biblical understanding of the character, scope, and worth of human knowledge and wisdom. Since all reality is involved in the will and thought of God, he who wants to understand the world must seek to understand God. Yet, what is the way of understanding him? We were just saying this. And then we'll get from Job, which we're also reading on Wednesdays. Canst thou, by searching, find out God? Canst thou find out? I don't love the canst thous and stuff. That's not my preferred translation, but mid-century you would get this, and that's when this was written. Canst thou find out the purpose of the Almighty? It is as high as heaven. What canst thou do? Deeper than the netherworld. What canst thou know? The measure thereof is longer than the earth and broader than the earth. Right? It's just incomprehensible to us. We can't understand it. Much has been said in praise of wisdom and the wise. Quote, the teaching of the wise is a fountain of life, unquote. This is Proverbs. The tongue of the wise brings healing, also Proverbs. Wisdom preserves the life of him who has it, Kohelet. Human wisdom, however, is not our ultimate security. Right? Human wisdom is contingent, not absolute. It is given to us by God and may be taken away by him. Proverbs says, for the Lord gives wisdom. But he also turns wise men back and makes their knowledge foolish. I think anyone who's lived in the last decade or so of history has seen that happen pretty clearly. It's a lot of things that we thought were smart turned out to be extremely stupid. Does that mean those people were always stupid? No. It just didn't work out. We thought it might have been smart. That's what theorizing is. But when you put it into practice, you learn whether things happen the way you think they'll happen, or whether things happen unexpectedly differently than the way you thought they would happen. The practical wisdom which man can achieve and which was so sincerely appreciated and celebrated becomes ignorance when we are confronted with the mysteries of nature and history. And what I was just talking about were the mysteries of history, right? In other words, you don't know what will happen. This is history, but in the future, right? We'll call it history one day and say, oh, who could have foreseen? You just didn't know. Those are the mysteries of history. The mysteries of nature, again, we didn't know what splitting atoms was or, that kind of thing until we knew what it was. Even if we knew what it was long before we could do it, we still had to learn, right? Electricity, all these different things, mysteries of nature that we couldn't have foreseen that, 3,000 years ago when we saw lightning on top of a mountain, that one day people would harness that energy to be able to power the lights and then we'd have to put timers on so that we didn't turn them on accidentally. Right? We couldn't have foreseen, but we figured it out at some point. But that's okay. These are mysteries of nature. It doesn't mean we may never know all of them, but we may know some of them one day. The message that the Bible conveys is not that of despair or agnosticism. Job does not simply say, we do not know, but rather that God knows, that God understands the way to it. God knows where wisdom is, right? It's like you can't see, but God can, it's almost as if God can see the tech tree. If this was a video game and we were playing out and we were going to get technologies in the future and we're like, we're here and AI is here and we just got it. and right before it was computers or the internet, and before that was compute, right? And this is it goes in a line, and God knows what the next 10 are. God knows what the next million are. But we don't know what the next one is necessarily. 10 years ago, could you have predicted ChatGPT? No, but that's okay. We didn't know what we didn't know. But now we figured out how to do it. We built fast enough, smart enough computers, and then learned how to make them use different algorithms that we've been developing for decades to figure out how to make them essentially think through the use of large language models. And it created all kinds of possibilities. Some of them good, some of them bad, but we don't know. It's mystery. We don't know what's next, but God does. What is unknown and concealed from us is known and open to God. This, then, is the specific meaning of mystery in our sense. It is not a synonym for the unknown, but rather a name for a meaning which stands in relation to God. So mystery is not what we don't know. Mystery is what God knows that we don't know.
So does God want us to be afraid, to have fear of the unknown?
No. Not in this sense. I mean, you should have a reasonable suspicion of the unknown, I would say. But you shouldn't fear the unknown. I don't think this is suggesting that. You're going to pursue learning and exploring, and you're going to learn things about the world. God knows that and wants us as caretakers of the world to master the world. If we learn through science to better to heal the damage we've done to the world and to even make it healthier, I think God would think that would be really cool, personally. Be like, thanks, you guys really almost ruined it there with all the smog and whatnot, but you fixed it. Great job. Like, that's what I wanted. Is that not what carbon recapture technology? Is that not pleasing to God? I think it probably is. It makes the world healthier. It makes the air take CO2 out of the air so that we don't have greenhouse gases. That's a good thing. So my point is just that, again, it's not that we shouldn't pursue new knowledge because you shouldn't fear the unknown. You should go forward into the unknown, though you might want to go forward into the unknown like this instead of like this. Right, with your face. Maybe you should start like this, probing out but go cautiously, but go. Right. I think knowledge is not something he's trying to. Heschel would never say you should like reject knowledge. This is a very mid-century mainline Orthodox Torah U'Mad'a guy, right? Torah and science, like the modern Orthodox Yeshiva University motto. Kind of is no, I don't think it's their actual motto. Mm-hmm. I think it's just a Soloveitchik thing. But in any event, he's very much in line with that. He's not saying like just like put yourself in a box. But here he's talking about mystery, and he just wants you to understand. We're not saying mystery because it's just something you don't know. Like that, it's not just the unknown. But it's a specific thing, that it's a name for a meaning which stands in relation to God. In other words, what God knows, we saw earlier in the paragraph, that we don't know. So that's the mystery, right? These are things that may be revealed to us along the stage of our formation, learning, reaching for God as a human family. And then we'll have wisdom, and wisdom comes from pursuing through the mystery, as we've seen. We're able to better encompass the world, that we can better understand the world as we can better measure it, quantify it, understand. Again, we understand it better. And as we understand it better, we can ask better questions. We can wrestle with God in even deeper ways, perhaps, in newer ways that we didn't understand. Who could have, I mean, even in a moral sense, do you have questions about what God would think about using an atomic weapon in war?
No.
You don't? I do.
I don't.
I have lots of questions about it. If you don't, then that's cool. But I don't know how you can be so certain.
I say to myself, he can't possibly want us to uh, decimate each other with atomic weapons.
Okay, I mean, that outcome probably, but are you sure that the God that wanted the Amalekites wiped out would say you can't possibly use the God that says when you're waging a, that wars, I mean, there are just wars according to the Torah, and just wars can be fought so that you win and they lose, so that as few of you die, and it brings it to an end in the speediest conclusion.
Well, that gets.
But the point is, look, forget the I don't care what the outcome is. You can be right. I don't care. It doesn't matter. I've already made my point. I win because this was my point in the first place. We can have the moral debate. We can have that debate in the first place. We couldn't have had it in 1850. True?
Exactly.
We couldn't have had that conversation about God until we got that far into the mystery. That's my point. I do care about the answer to that question. I'm just saying it's not germane to this conversation.
Can I go back
Yeah.
even further?
Yeah.
I want to go back to Job on the first page. Canst thou by searching find out God? Okay. And he says, no, you can't. And of course, I think that's true in the sense that I can't put God in a box. I can't understand him. I can't understand everything about him. But I can look at nature. I can be moved by that.
Find out it's a language problem. Find out means to get, to understand.
Yeah. Okay.
And you can't. That's what it's saying.
Yeah.
It's not saying like, ooh, can I notice God through all? He wouldn't have used it if that's what it was, because he's going to say that's what you can do.
Yeah.
So,
okay.
So I'm just telling you, it's a language thing, because it's canst thou. I don't need the Elizabethan language. I'm not Shakespeare. I don't like it. I don't want it. And if Heschel had been writing in a more modern time, we'd have been able to use JPS here. Honestly, I could pull it up if I could. I just can't manage the split screen.
So it's like Job wrote this.
No. But the translation of it. I mean, I know it's Job. It's not his language, is what I mean. He's using a translation, and it's an old translation that I don't know.
Is it fair to say that Job is saying this with a feeling of awe?
Yeah.
Because
Yeah, right.
that's all
Yeah,
of it.
right.
And
Yeah.
then at the end, he says, I accept all of this. And then, of course, there's a Hollywood ending. He gets everything back.
It does work out for him, thank God. But again, to be fair, in theodicy, it should, right? I mean, you shouldn't really have a story in which God allows his agent to torture a guy for a while and then says, cool, moving on. Like, that would be, a lot of us would go, oh, that's a little dark, right? I mean, it's a dark story, but again, the uplifting end is kind of the necessary counterbalance to that. Otherwise, I'd be like, they just smashed this guy for like
God,
a story for a theology lesson.
but Job keeps awe all through it, even though he's suffering. He has awe of God, or that he doesn't know. But he does hold to the fact that he didn't do anything particularly sinful to deserve it.
Yes, no, absolutely. I mean, look, you should always be honest.
Yeah.
Right? He's honest the whole time. He says, look, I don't really think I should, I mean, I didn't do anything. Like, if you do all the right things, again, theodicy, things are mostly supposed to work. They're certainly not supposed to go as bad as they went for Job, for Eov. But that again, we'll get to that book when we're doing that book. I want to keep our.
Does
over
free
here.
will comport with all of this?
I think so.
How?
How does it not?
Well, we're not leaving it up to God. It's our choice.
Of course it is. It's our choice how fast we push through the mystery, or whether we can sense wisdom or awe. Those are our choices. Those are free will choices. You can choose to shut yourself off from it. You can be a totally analytical person. You can go into finance and crunch numbers all day and never have a non-utilitarian thought and totally reject the possibility of encountering God in your daily life. Or you cannot do that. Just like humanity, we can move faster by doing things to accelerate our ability to push through the mystery. And sometimes we have spurts of doing that. And then we have dark ages sometimes because we decide to do a bunch of really dumb things that make it impossible for us to push deeper into the mystery. It's our choice. It's collectively as humanity. It's our call. It's all our free will. If we were working on it really deeply for 2,000 years, we'd probably be a lot further ahead. But we had to go all Catholic Church about it for a couple 100,000 years, for like 1,000 years. And that was humanity. That was a choice that people were making, but it certainly didn't help. And but things break through. Eventually, we had the Renaissance, and we had liberalization, and we understood. We had mercantilism, and we better understood economics, and we opened up markets, and we changed the way the incentive structure towards living a life, and all the things that happened in the 19th and 20th centuries at that point, which has allowed us to accelerate faster than exponentially faster than we ever have in all of human history prior.
I'm just trying to make sure that I have free will.
You still do. You can totally reject all of this, and that's your choice. But I would say it's a sad one.
You're sure I have free will?
I'm sure.
These psychiatrists here would tell you I don't have free will.
Oh, I think we do.
Do you think I do?
Yeah.
I don't think
I win. No, it's fine.
It's like all the messages are coming, and you have the right to tune the radio to the messages you want to tune.
What about my unconscious?
Yes, it's unconscious. You're not aware.
And wouldn't that interfere with the
You can control it.
You can still choose to turn the radio or television channel to the right one.
There may be actions I'm taking I have no control over.
You have an
Nothing's ever anyone's fault.
But you-
No, right? No.
But you
Come on.
choose to read whatever rule books are there that might be useful, one of which is the Torah.
There you go. That's great. I love
And
that.
I
Way to
don't know
go.
how to tune the radio.
There you go.
You can also study your unconscious so that it doesn't control you.
There you go.
You think
There you
so?
go.
Yes, and the root.
2 points, Rabbi.
The root to the unconscious is free association and dreams, and then you can look, and the Torah is full of understanding dreams.
Yes, there's a lot of dream. There's a lot of dream interpretation and understanding that things beyond, including the subconscious, impact us, but it doesn't control or doesn't have to control
We
us.
can tune it
You
out.
are a human being. You are
There's a lot of-
expected to gain control over yourself.
There's a
You
lot
are
of
never
things-
permitted as a Jewish man to say, maybe I did something and I didn't have any control over it. Maybe my subconscious made me do it. Guess what? Judaism rejects that. We don't have the ability. You get exactly 13 years to get ready for that. We give you 13 years where it's not your fault. Almost nothing's your fault. And we put it all on your father. And then it's your job to make sure you're in control of yourself.
There's things you don't say that end up screwing you up.
Yeah, sure.
You know,
I agree with that.
which causes you to have various types of actions, which throws out free will.
Oh, you can make bad choices.
I don't think that throws out free will. I think free will is when you, with your brain and your mind, you make a choice. That's free will. When you're doing so, you say, I'm going to do this.
Mhm.
That's free will. I'm not talking. It's like breathing isn't a matter of free will. It's just not relevant. It's an automatic process. It's autonomic. Sorry, is what it's called. It's an autonomic process. It's not something that we think about, right? Same thing when you go to sleep. It's not at that point and if you
That's why
sleepwalk,
I'm
we're not
trying-
blaming you. It's not a free will failure. It's
Maybe-
just something that happened.
That's why
Right.
I'm trying to define man. This book we read doesn't do
Doesn't
a very
do
good
it?
job.
Well, this is a thing about man.
I'm not
Are you asking
sure.
about masculinity Or what do you mean when you're asking about man?
Well,
I'm curious.
This book was about masculinity.
Okay, because if we're talking about masculinity, Judaism has a lot to say about that, and I can teach you about that, but that's a different conversation. This guy is not having that. He's not even thinking about
He's
that.
talking
Heschel's
man
not
as a
talking,
species.
right. He's not thinking about what it means to be a man. He's not thinking about either masculinity or what it means to be an individual person in this context.
Well, he wrote a book about being a man, didn't
I mean,
he? Heschel.
like man is not alone. I don't think that's even about that either. That's also about, I don't know, what did he write a book about being a man?
I don't think
I don't
it was
recall.
about masculinity. It was
Yeah.
about making choices that make you a better person.
Yeah, but there are many things Judaism teaches about masculinity and about you know, ownership of the self, so to speak, taking control of oneself and making sure that you have some sort of discipline. Judaism itself is meant to teach discipline. Self-discipline, obviously, is preferable to communal discipline. But yeah, as terms of masculinity, I'm happy to put together something, but he's not talking about Heschel's not as interested in.
He's talking about humankind.
Right, he's talking about all of us. And he will talk about how you can access it, or like, but you can do it the same as anyone else, essentially. He's not talking to you any different than he's talking to other people. So we are in, I think, human wisdom is contingent. Is that it? No, we did that.
The beginning of wisdom is all.
Oh, okay. Right, yeah. Okay, so we're here. Ultimate meaning and ultimate wisdom are not found within the world, but in God. And the only way to wisdom is, as said above, through our relationship to God. Do you agree with that?
Well, isn't Chokhmah a measure of our relationship to God?
Well, it's interesting. It might be, and what I do think is a really good point about that is that wisdom is different than intelligence or knowing facts, right?
Yes.
Right. So don't confuse. We don't want to confuse when it says wisdom is the only way to wisdom is. We don't want to say that again. The statistician, if you're the world's leading whatever number cruncher person, you might be an extremely intelligent person, but it doesn't have the wisdom that we're talking. That's not a guarantee of wisdom. They may have great personal failings, for instance, because they may be they don't have the wisdom of how to discipline themselves, or they don't have the wisdom to understand the importance of family relationships, or trust with colleagues, or things like that. I mean, again, you could be very intelligent and not have wisdom.
Yes.
You could be very successful and not have so there's a difference being drawn here. And the only way to wisdom is through our relationship to God, because God is the arbiter, the center point and the yardstick by which you can right the whole field is God is all of that. God is at least imbued into all of it, if not the actual. I'm not saying the microscope is God. That's not what I'm saying. God forbid. Just that the everything that led to the use of it to move forward is only possible through the system of advancement, which is our living condition that was created by God. Do you understand how holistic it is? That what I'm trying to say? Because it's not just okay. I'm going way too. This is the thing about Heschel. It gets really okay. Sorry. Okay.
Yeah, Heschel wrote a book, Who is Man?
And that's about masculinity?
No.
Oh. Yeah, he uses the word man a lot in his titles. I'm not sure if he wrote a book about masculinity though. I didn't recall one, but he wrote a lot of books, and I'm not an expert, so I don't want to say I can't say definitively.
He says he argued that there is no such entity as man in a final permanent form. Being human is an ongoing moment-to-moment process of making choices and actualizing potential.
Mhm.
That's how he defined.
Okay.
So
That's
he
reasonable.
wrote this book, Who is Man? And that's
Yeah.
basically what it said.
Well, okay. I'm sure he has very fascinating theories on who we are as a species and all that, and collectively. But yeah, I don't know. I didn't read it, unfortunately,
Yeah.
so I don't know.
It's fine. I just
Woo,
looked it up.
a little hot. Okay. Um. Here, I'm actually gonna. It's a little hot. I'm gonna turn on the fan.
Oh, we could have done that.
That's okay. Thank you. Okay, so that relationship, the relationship to God that is the way to wisdom, is awe. Awe of God is the way to wisdom.
Is it fair to say that that's the emotion that you quoted from Job was awe, and then he gained some wisdom?
And even more than that, awe in this sense is more than an emotion. It is a way of understanding. Awe is itself an act of insight into a meaning greater than ourselves. The question, therefore, where shall wisdom be found, is answered by the psalmist. The awe of God is the beginning of wisdom. The Bible does not preach awe as a form of intellectual resignation, right? You don't go, wow, God is great. Let's just never do anything about anything. Let's just sit in our shack and never think about things, right? It does not say awe is the end of wisdom. We just have to get to awe, and that's what our purpose is to be in awe. No. We use awe as the conduit. Its intention seems to be that awe is a way to wisdom. Sorry, that literally is what I just said. It's a conduit to wisdom. It's literally a way to wisdom. In Job, we encounter a complete equation. The awe of God is wisdom. And why is he quoting here to Job 28:28? I don't know what Job 28:28. I gotta look in my app. Can I find Job in the Tanakh? If I get to the app, I will. Job 20:20. Nope, we're having trouble. Having trouble connecting. Okay, here we go. 28. Okay. God said to humankind, see, awe of God is wisdom. To shun evil is understanding. Oh. Uh-oh. Well, it went back way further when I did that. It went back into chapter 6 for reasons that I don't understand.
Maybe your computer has wisdom that you don't know.
Maybe, or rather, less wisdom than it ought. Okay, I think I found our way here almost. Right. Okay, so the beginning of awe is wonder, and the beginning of wisdom is awe. Right? So, okay. You get wonder, which is at the front of awe, right? Wonder leads to awe. Awe leads to wisdom. It's a path that God set out for you to be able to follow,
Where's the
to
mystery?
develop as a species.
Where's the mystery in that? Go ahead.
Mystery is it surrounds it. It's around.
It's a background.
As you shoot out from this and learn new things, it's not a line. I portrayed it as a line before, but it's really a web that expands ever outwards in different directions. And so the mystery is just all the dark parts that haven't been revealed yet to us, that we have yet to reveal or have revelation done to us. Those are the only two ways we can learn things. Either we can reveal them by pursuing through the mystery and through this path, or God can reveal them to us in revelation. But that obviously happens very, 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 very infrequently. The second one. So most of it is the first one. The meaning of awe. Awe is a way of being in rapport with the mystery of all reality. Right? You're just trying to get on the same level as the map. Right? If it's a map and I said some parts are dark and some parts are lit, and you're trying to get a sense of the universe of understanding that exists, awe is the mindset you are in order to make the map appear at all.
Yeah.
Without it, you're doing an intellectual exercise, and it's just like a flat. It's nothing.
Mm.
To really get into it, awe is that's the thing. We're dealing with metaphysics here. I phrased it like a superpower, but it's obviously not a you don't engage awe and then boom, like it's not like that. Like, okay. Not that you thought it was. The awe that we sense or ought to sense when standing in the presence of a human being is a moment of intuition for the likeness of God, which is concealed in his essence. Not only man, even inanimate things stand in a relation to the Creator. The secret of every being is the divine care and concern that are invested in it. Something sacred is at stake in every event. An event here is going to be, they don't say. Then I went back again, way too far. Great. Yeah.
I don't know if this is an accurate schematic, but psychologically, we learn to dig deeper into ourselves, to understand better how our mind, our psychology works. Beyond, you can go deep, 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 deep. And I think you come to a border where you leave psychology and you enter what I would call spirituality. Mm-hmm. We're told that God has placed a spark of divinity within us. And I think part of our job and part of our search for wisdom and understanding is to go beyond that psychological border. And it doesn't mean we're going to be successful, but to try and understand. I think there's a spiritual domain of us, and to try and wade in that and learn or discern something.
I almost want you to think about it a little differently and think about it as in the time of Jeremiah, if a man heard voices, what would someone say? Is there a single person on earth from the time of Jeremiah till maybe sometime in the 1800s that anyone would say anything other than they are A, prophet, or B, mad?
Right. Mm-hmm.
And you guys know that's not true, though, right? Neither of those things are true. Most of them weren't prophets. And they might not have been mad by the definition of that term, because it turns out we found out ways to help them later. Medicines and psychological therapies that help people with that we would have once consigned to spirituality. A demon is in them. They are possessed. They are cursed in some way. The realm of spirituality and psychology is one of those prongs that goes off. I said it's a web. One of those prongs is psychology. And at a certain point, it gets murky because of the mystery, because there are things we do not know. the mind, about how it functions, in connection or not with the soul, and what that connection means for psychology, for how the mind functions, in other words, psychology. So I want you to think about it in the context the way Heschel is thinking about it, that the dividing line has moved over time, right? That line, you say at some point we leave psychiatry or psychology and move into spirituality.
Yes.
Is that because there is a fixed line, or is it because there are things we don't know yet and we consign what we cannot yet explain to the realm of the spiritual?
Well, let's take Shakespeare, for example.
Oh no, you're good. Fine,
Okay.
go for it.
No,
Yeah, sure. Shakespeare.
people are trying to figure out who Shakespeare is. Is it
Oh.
one person? Is it more? No one could be that bright, is what people are basically saying.
That's
It can't-
jealousy, I think.
It can't be just one person.
Well,
So
then there
let's
couldn't be
take,
a Mozart who's
Right,
so
yeah.
damn talented.
Right. And that presupposes genius doesn't exist, and I disagree.
it
But
presupposes genius. Same thing with the prophets. No one could be that smart, so it's coming from somebody else,
from God, you mean?
from God.
But they say Ko Amar Adonai when they give. They say, "Thus says the Lord your God."
Yeah.
When they give prophecy. So they are. I mean, they're not just. It's not just
They're-
they're giving good advice, and we said later that it was prophecy. They are saying in their moment that it is prophecy, in addition to the prophetic books, which we'll keep getting to on Saturday mornings as we get further through the Tanakh, as it describes their call by God. It's not they don't just show up. Now in the books of the kings and stuff, they do often just show up and say, God said this, and you don't really know what happened because it's more of a history focused book. When you get to the later prophetic books, and you get it from their perspective, you get the call, the idea that God summoning them and saying, this is your mission and what you're going to say to the king or this people or Nineveh or whatever the prophecy is supposed to be directed towards.
So the prophets can't be that smart. It's coming from a different
The
source.
intelligence or nobility
Or the
or
wisdom.
whatever of the prophets is irrelevant to God generally, unless he needs them to have a certain ability or status, right? Because with Moshe, it couldn't just be any slave, right? Probably. Maybe it could have, I don't know, but it was it was instead Moshe who was saved specifically and delivered to become a prince of Egypt and then a political leader, essentially. It wasn't just some guy named Menachem who rose up to be, to do that. The same will happen with people like Jeremiah. Jeremiah is not just a prophet; he's also a member of the royal family, essentially, and and therefore an even sadder witness to the destruction of Judah and Jerusalem.
So the wisdom of the prophets is not intuitive. It's coming from
The wisdom of the
source.
prophets comes from God. The prophets are rarely worth much on the not I don't mean worth much on their own. They're worth everything because they're people and they're prophets and we respect them, obviously. But the prophets don't, it's not like it's God merging with their ability or special smartness or something or their wisdom. They're not leading wise people of their day often. Generally, sometimes they're just successors to the it depends who and what. It's a specific thing. God alone knows why God chooses each prophet for each mission. And in between, they generally just walk around and visit people and bless things. I mean, but we haven't had a prophet in thousands of years. So, and we generally say
I guess
the door
I'm
of
looking
prophet.
for the job.
Well, we generally say the door of prophecy is pretty closed at this point. We're not expecting God to send any prophets to us today, though. Certainly, it does feel like that would be nice. Would certainly be nice. If you're applying for the job, I would say, unfortunately, God doesn't take applications for this. And also, I would add to that, it is very rare that the prophet wants to be one.
No, there you are.
In fact, Elisha is pretty much the only one I can think of off the top of my head who's really desperate to be the prophet.
Yeah.
He's the only one who really wants the job. Most people are either this just like take it because this is the job, and also something we've noticed something kind of changes in them in their heads a little bit when they take that job for the first time. Something that's just like, well, God said it, so let's go. Like blah, blah, blah. For the most part, it doesn't happen with Jonah. Obviously, it doesn't work on him. He runs, but most of them just go, okay, you know, especially the lifelong, the ones who don't just have a mission or two, but like who spend decades in service. What?
Career prophets.
Right, exactly. People who spend decades as prophets, as opposed to some of them where, like Jonah, where he's got a one-off mission and it lasts for a month and then it's over and that's the end. There are some that are shorter and some that are longer. Certainly. But yeah, the other thing about prophet, they rarely enjoy most of the time prophets are reluctant. Right. The other thing is it's not fun. It's rarely a fun job. Again, Elisha's like one of the few guys it goes fun who basically he doesn't have much fun when he's working for Elijah, but by the time he takes over, he basically has a fine time for most of it. For most of his remaining life. But not most of the prophets don't have fun in the role. It's not just giggles and bears. It's generally a lot of suffering. Sleeping in ditches and being persecuted and having people yell and throw things at you because you tell them things they don't want to hear. Like repent. People don't like tochacha. They don't like to be rebuked. And especially not by a prophet, because a prophet doesn't do it nicely. A prophet gives us this idea of tochacha that we're all afraid of, because it comes from God. And so the prophet gets to be meaner than you get to be to your friend. You don't get to do tochacha in a mean way, because you're just a person. But the prophet's speaking the words of God, and God can be as mean about tochacha as God feels is necessary to avert disaster, because God loves us, is trying to protect us from ourselves in that instance. And if we can't turn from the path, then God will punish us, surely. But sometimes we turn from it. Yeah. Yeah. Go for it. I don't know what I was going on about for 20 minutes.
I'm getting back to mind and spirituality again. We try and study mind, but we have the most difficult time in the world explaining and understanding what mind is. We get into, is it a product of the brain? Is it consciousness? What is consciousness? We're all trying to answer that. Take that a step further into spirituality. You leave mind, you enter the concept of soul. And I think we're even less clear on what soul is than on what mind is. You agree with that? Yeah.
We can look at what happens. We've had patients and ourselves that have had enormous revelations, and that changes their life. They can't tell you how the hell it happened, and neither can you tell it. Yeah. But those aha moments open up new vistas.
Absolutely.
Yep. For sure. I like that, actually. I say actually, not like I wouldn't ordinarily like, I just like that stuck out to me as something that I think particularly.
And the problem you get into is how do you help that come about? And I'd like to say we have a knowledge of that, but we don't. But all of a sudden it happens. I remember a patient, whatever I said meant nothing, but when I visited him in the hospital, it meant everything, and his life changed.
And I think we use meditation as a tool for that. But the insights of meditation, are they in our mind? Is that our soul that's opening up a little bit? I don't know.
Well, we do know that it opens up a way of looking at things differently.
Yeah.
How that happens, we've got a lot of ignorance in our.
Perhaps it's merely, meditation could be some sort of exercise in, it's the same way you got to work on lateral movement. I was telling Harold about how I'm working on all these exercises so I can strengthen this left leg so that when I shoot my hips back. I don't sway to the side when I hit the golf ball. Everyone online now also knows about my obsession with golf now. He was shocked when I said I go 4 times a week to the range. I'm like, I'm smashing it. I'm going. Gotta hit like 500 balls a week so you can get better quick. But you know, you do these exercises so that you get movement and things. And maybe this is a form of spiritual exercise that just allows you a sort of lateral, you know, in the web sort of allows you just so that when you're doing other things, when you're engaging with it in other ways, it gives you more ability or speed, whatever the convenient metaphor would be compared to golf. Speed or distance or whatever the thing is.
But just like your exercises, when it
Yeah.
clicks, all of a sudden you can hit the ball and you don't ask yourself how, because it's a summation of all your exercise.
I would love to get to the point where I stop asking myself how to do it.
Oh.
But I do hit it about
That's
80, I do hit it good about 80% of the time.
It
So
does happen, and then all of a sudden you hit perfectly, and you say, "Oh, man."
thankfully, as long as I can make it always go pretty far, I'm pretty happy. That's basically all I'm doing at this point. I don't even know what sand is yet. Don't worry. I'm playing my first. Everyone here, I'm playing my first 9 holes on Tuesday.
Oh, good.
I'm playing at Western Hills out on Auburn. So I'm playing 9 holes. So it'll be my first round of golf, half round. And so I'm hoping to start. I want to get to a place where I'm playing like 2-3 times a week. I really want. Like, hey, during the summertime out here in Kansas, it gets bright at like 6 a.m. I could go before work. I could play 18 hole. I could get a 6:30 tee time and play before I go to work and play before 9.
You are Rabbi.
Yeah. Remember, God can even hit a 1-iron.
I don't have a 1-iron. My lowest iron is 6.
No one has.
Right, yeah, that's right. Yeah. There you go. That's fair. Right, yeah. I don't even have. I was like, I don't even have a 5-iron. I started 6. So anyway, okay, yeah, okay. My metaphor still worked for the lateral movement within the web idea,
Yes, right.
which was my point of bringing up my obsession with golf, not the golfing itself. Though I do love it. Okay. Awe is this where we? Oh no.
Yeah, I think that's right. The meaning of all.
Does wisdom,
No, we just did that. We did the.
does wisdom seek us, or do we seek wisdom?
We have to seek wisdom, I think. I think we have to seek wisdom because wisdom is the end of the cycle of this cycle. So wisdom is at this end. If it starts over here and ends over here, if we were doing it as a continuum, wisdom is here, and awe is here, wisdom is here, and wonder is here. We have to start wondering and then be in awe to get to wisdom. And because there are steps, I don't think very often anyway, you can accident your way to, and wisdom therefore isn't searching for us. Now, we are invited in many ways, and it will be said, to engage with wonder and then with awe. So we're encouraged to make our way along the continuum. God wants us to. So in some ways, wisdom is searching for us in the sense that we are encouraged to seek it. But because there are steps, I'm reluctant to say it's searching for us, which makes it sound like it can be grasped and pulled on, where really all you can do that for is wonder and maybe awe. Wonder, and then it leads you to awe. And if you keep going, you'll get to wisdom.
I'm glad I can help you.
Very helpful. It's important. Okay. Before we get into the meaning of awe, I'm going to stop it there so that we'll pick up with that when we pick up again. Obviously, we're getting pretty deep into all of this. I want to thank the people that came.